Hey, Tony in Greensboro, North Carolina. Matthew here with freeprescriptionlenses.com, and with the help of my GoPro camera, I'm going to show you how I cut the second pair of invisible bifocals you've gotten from me. You got a pair of Gucci's from me before, and now you want me to update a pair of Versace's that you have sent to me. This is model number Versace 1064, size 53, in the color 1136. Nice brown frame. And let me take out his older lenses, and I'm actually going to install some new lenses in there. I'm going to loosen the eye wire screw, pop out your old lenses, set those down, tighten the screw back. Do the same. Let me make sure that's tightened all the way. There we go. Loosen this side. Take this lens out. Tighten everything down again. Let me just make sure this side is perfect. Okay. Since this is a used frame, I do want to take the time to clean out the inside of the eye wire because the tracer element is rather sensitive if there's any dirt or debris that may be on the inside of the frame. But I'm going to take your frame and put them into the tracing element, wake up the computer, and hit start. The first thing that happens is going to be a little stylus that's going to come up and it's going to trace the shape of the right lens before moving over and tracing the shape of the left lens. Here at freeprescriptionlenses.com, where everyone loves a bargain and no one is disappointed in quality. You buy a genuine, authentic Versace frame and you will receive free, clear, single vision prescription lenses. And of course, this is your frame, so you will have to pay the upgrade for the invisible bifocal. Of course, everyone else will too, but you're still going to get a really good deal on it since this is your second pair. Now, in just a moment, the shape of your lens will pop up onto the computer. After it makes some noises and beeps and whistles, and boom, come on, show it to me, show it to me. Let's go ahead and get your lenses prepped. Your pupillary distance for your right eye is 33, 31.5 for the left. So we are 33 right here. Bifocal height of 18. Let's go ahead and add that in right there. There we go. Your left eye is going to be 31.5, and we're going to make it the same 18 millimeters. There we go, back up to 18. Let's flip it over to the right, and I will be cutting an invisible bifocal for you, so let's put that graph up there and we are good to go. So let's go ahead and get your lenses prepped. All invisible bifocals, and by the way, you're getting the digital freeform lens known as the Ideal Advanced, but all of them have little tiny laser marks hidden in the lens that I'm going to use this magnifier to locate, and of course it's going to give you some weird psychedelic effects while you look in here. But you have two round circles on opposite sides of your lens. One side has the brand of the invisible bifocal, the other side has the power of it. And of course, this is the right lens. I'm going to set that there. Let's do the same thing now for the left lens. I just need to get this prepped. There's the nasal marking. I'm going to put a red dot in the center. Do the same thing over on this side. Underline the bifocal power and put an L here. The reason why I put those two dots on there, I have a corresponding two dots here. Get that lined up just perfectly, and now I'm going to put the height of where the invisible bifocal segment will begin. I'm going to do the same thing now for the right eye, and put a dot right there in the crosshairs. So let me go back down here. Of course, Tony is the owner and operator of Blue Horizons Building Services Incorporated, so anyone in the Greensboro area, if you have a professional building and you need it cleaned and maintained, Tony is your guy. Contact me and I'll give you his contact info. But that is the optical center, that black dot I'm going to put right there in the middle. This blue square is the geometric center of your lens, but this orange cross, hopefully you can see it, is where your eye will sit. Now, this is a block. This is what's going to hold your lens in place while it is cutting. So I need to attach a double-sided adhesive sticker to it, and 3M out of Minnesota has made such a product. I'm going to put one on there. Let's do the same thing for the other one. The green side is the sticky side, and there's actually this little silver button is a magnet on the back. So I'm going to pull the paper away to make this side sticky, and the reason why that magnet is there because I'm going to place it to a corresponding magnet in there. That's lined up perfectly for the right lens. And I'm going to hit this button, which is going to cause this arm to come down and drop the block onto your lens. I'm going to do the same thing now for your left lens with that red dot in the center. I'm going to get that lined up right there in that center, rotate it where these two opposite dots are going to be on this orange line. And that tells me it's oriented in there perfectly. Let's take this other block, pull the paper away so it makes it sticky. Hit that button again, and now that arm's going to drop down and place the block onto the left lens. Let's come over here to the meat and potato part. This is the $40,000 edger. I recommend everyone get one. It weighs 200 pounds. You can put it on your kitchen counter, and then you'll be able to cut glasses at home. But I'm going to pull up the shape of your lens onto the computer. These are polycarbonate lenses that I'm cutting on the soft cycle, and the actual cutting wheel is over here on the far right. It acts like a heavy grit sandpaper that's going to grind away your polycarbonate lens material until it's the final size. Now this wheel in the center, where's my little flashlight? Let me get that so everyone can see what's going on. Now we can see this wheel in the center has a little channel, a little valley. That's what's going to be put the V-shaped bevel onto the lens so it stays inside the bevel of the frame. And this is known as the chuck. This is what's going to hold it in place while it is cutting. So I'm going to take your lens, and again the magnet is going to hold it right there, and we're going to hit the start button, which is the green arrow. The door closes, the clamp shuts while making a sound, and then two calipers are going to come down and it's going to trace the shape of the right side of the lens. You can see it as it's tracing. It goes around once and then it goes around twice. Where's my flashlight? You can see as it traces the shape of the lens, making sure this lens is large enough to fit into the frame, which it is, but it's also measuring the thickness of the lens at every point going around to know exactly where to place the bevel so it fits best inside the frame. It can move it backward, it can move it forward, whatever's going to give it the best cosmetic appearance. Now in just a moment your lens will touch down onto the cutting wheel, and you will hear it begin to cut. Now polycarbonate lenses cut dry. There is water running in the background, but that's just to collect the dust. Polycarbonate does cut dry, where plastic and high index lenses cut wet. Now you do have the polycarbonate lens, which is 40% thinner and lighter than regular plastic. It is also virtually unbreakable. Your lens is also bulletproof up to 22 caliber. It has both UVA and UVB protection built into it. We know what the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays can do to your skin from overexposure, where your eyes are 8 times more sensitive than your skin. So you have permanent sunscreen for your eyes built into this lens, unlike the lotions, creams, and sprays that we have to reapply whenever we have full exposure to the sun. You will never need to do that. The other nice feature about your lens is that it's aspheric. Not only is it thinner, but aspheric just means it's a flatter curvature, giving you a wider field of view. It does not have a spherical lens. It's completely round in every direction. It gives you an ugly cosmetic fishbowl appearance. This will not do that. So it's now going onto the bevel to put a knife-like edge, a very dull knife like myself, but a knife-like edge nonetheless. That is how it's going to stay inside the frame and never pop out. It's going to be a sharp little edge going all the way around. Now water has just kicked in. It does that for the last 20 seconds of the cutting cycle, just to wash away any optical debris. In just a moment this will stop, as you see, and another arm or lever will move into place, which has a little tiny cutting wheel just like on a Dremel tool. But after it is done in this shape, that little wheel is going to go around and smooth what's known as the safety bevel. It's going to smooth off any rough edges that are left over from the cutting cycle, starting with the rear surface of the lens, and then it's going to move over and do the front surface of the lens. Now when the door opens, it is done. I do want to grab a paper towel because I'm going to hit this button to open up the chuck. Thank you, Chuck. Or of course, as I like to say, Charles, because I don't know the machine well enough to call it Chuck. Just going to make sure that all the optical debris has been cleared off the lens. I'm going to take my Phillips head screwdriver, loosen up the eye wire screw, lefty-loosey, pop the lens into place, and then we're going to tighten that screw back down. We are good to go. That is tightened. Now I'm going to flip this over and we're going to cut the left lens. Let me flip this over to L. We're going to place the magnet into the chuck and hit start. The door is going to close, the clamp's going to shut a little quieter this time because it's wet, and then the two calipers are going to trace the shape of the left side of the frame. Again, measuring the thickness at every point. It's going to do it twice just to double check its measurements. The wheels start up, move into place, and then the lens is going to drop down onto the cutting wheel. And as soon as this begins cutting, I'm going to continue to work on your right lens. Okay. This block is no longer needed, so I'm going to remove that, pull the sticker off, dry this off again, and let's go down and work on the right lens. Now your prescription in your right eye reads +1/4 -75 at 106. Your left eye, which is below it, is plano -50 at 90 with a 2 diopter add. So for your right eye, +1/4 -75 at 106, I'm going to spin the axis wheel of my Marco 101 lensometer to 106. Hopefully you can see that through the magnifier there. I'm going to put your lens in, and I'm just going to darken this red dot that I placed on there, just so you can see that a little bit better. I'm going to place it into my Marco 101 lensometer, and I'm going to spin the wheel. But let's turn it on. Spin the wheel, and I am reading +1/4. It is 1 tick mark above the 0 in the black. The black numbers mean positive plus, the red numbers are minus. So we're at +1/4. You have 3 steps of astigmatism correction, and we end up with -50. The way your prescription works, and of course the unit of measurement we use in the optical world is called a diopter, spelled D-I-O-P-T-E-R, and it goes in quarter increments. Well, starting at 0, which we in the business call plano, everyone else calls it non-prescription, and goes up from there. And of course you have in quarter increments, and you have them all represented here. From plano, +1/4, 50, 75, 1, 1 1/4, 150, and so on. So you actually need 1 step of magnification in your right eye, but you need 3 steps of astigmatism correction in your right eye. In fact, most of your prescription is what we call astigmatic. Now, astigmatism, there is a stigma over the word astigmatism. It just means shape. It's like saying someone has straight hair, someone else has curly hair. That is it. It is not a disease. It is not an affliction. But everyone freaks out when they hear that word. It just means you have 2 curvatures. You have a 0.25 going this way, and then another 3 steps of curvature going this way. It just means your eye is not completely round. The curves are a different shape. So, remember high school algebra, you have to add the opposite signs together? Well, forget that. We're going to use modern terms. Let's say you have 25 cents and someone borrows 75 cents. You would end up with -50, and that's what you have here, is -50 as your combined power. Now, your left eye, you actually need no correction whatsoever for magnification or minification. You only need 2 steps of correction for astigmatism. And when you think of astigmatism, think of it as the fine-tune knob. This first number gets everything the right size. The second number is what makes 6s and 8s, or the letters P and F look alike. That's why you squint, because when you squint, you're changing the shape of your eye. And of course, for the right eye, that number is 106, so a straight line is 0 to 180. Now your left eye is 90, so we're going to turn that meridian to 90, which is straight above. This is the vertical 90, the horizontal 180. Now for your right eye, it's 106. We're going to go just past the 90 to about 106. Now these first 2 numbers are real values to be concerned with. This last number could be anywhere from 180. That's just where we turn the knob to make everything nice and clear. Now you need an additional The reason why the bifocal is referred to as an add, it means in addition to what's up here. So if you needed full strength reading glasses, you would add these two numbers together. You need about a 2 1/4 for your right eye, only a 2 for your left, but you could make out with a 2 or a 2 1/4, and really for a computer you could do 1 1/4 or 1/50. Let's take your lens out and dry it off. The higher the number, the closer you have to hold it to yourself. So if you're using the full 2 1/4, you're going to bring it into about right here. The reason why I was saying 150 for the computer, since it's farther away, you don't need it to be as strong. Now, where'd your frame go? Here it is. Of course, let me go back here with my screwdriver. Grab that. Let's loosen that eye wire screw. Let's pop the lens into place. And let's tighten the screw down. I'm just going to give a quick inspection and make sure it's in there properly and there are no gaps when I tighten the screw down. We can go ahead and take this block off. Dry this off again. And while I can still barely see a little bit of red dot there, let me darken that so that everyone at home can follow along. And I'm going to place it into the lensometer, and I'm going to spin the axis wheel to 90, which is the axis for your left eye. And I'm going to read in there, and I'm getting the power of 0, which again is plano. You have 2 steps of astigmatism correction, and we're at -50 now, which is exactly halfway between 0 and 1. So that is made correctly. Now the bifocal height is 18 millimeters, so I'm going to place my PD stick against the lens, and when we get to the bottom of the frame, we're reading 18 millimeters for the right eye, and then we're going to read 18 millimeters for the left. Your pupillary distance, your right eye is 33 and 31.5 for your left eye, for a combined value of 34.5. I'm going to turn this card around so you can see a little bit better with contrast. I'm going to place the 0 against my thumb on your right lens, and then when we look at it on your left lens, we're getting 64.5, so that is made perfectly. And since you're going to pick these up from me, I can always adjust them to make sure they fit okay, but I'm going to get them in standard alignment first. Of course, everyone out there who's watching this, I do have free shipping anywhere in the United States. And I'll mention it, and forgive me for repeating myself, I mention this in most of my videos. But should anyone get these in the mail, there's a small chance that the new pair of frames will either be too loose or too tight, but there's an 80% chance it's going to be higher on one side than the other. That's because 80% of people have one ear that's higher than the other. And that's why all optical shops will, 99% will do free adjustments if you ask them. But I'm going to get it in standard alignment first, also known as a 3-point stance. The 3 points are 1, 2, and the bottom of the frame being 3. I'm going to set them down and make sure there's no wobble. When I say wobble, I'm part of that 80%. When I put mine on the counter, they definitely wobble because one ear is lower than the other. But I'm going to flip them over, press down, make sure there is no wobble. I'm going to make sure there's the same amount of tension on each spring hinge, and there is. And that is that. So Tony with Blue Horizons Building Services Incorporated in Greensboro. If anyone has any questions about what I can or can't do, just email me at freeprescriptionlenses@gmail.com. And Tony, I hope you enjoyed watching as I made prescription lenses for of course I can't see it when it's that close because I'm a presbyope, your Versace 1064. The color is 1136 in the 53 eye size, and hopefully everyone else has got the chance to see how I bring that love and feeling back to glasses. Thank you.